You're my special friend.
Welcome back to the Special Friends podcast, y'all. It's me, Allie B, and here with
your boy Wuzi
and Eareoke.
And we're glad to have you back. Thank you for joining us again. Before we get into things, if we could ask that you like, comment, subscribe to our channel and our podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify, rate us 5 stars. And I recently learned this. You have to listen to a few episodes we get before Spotify gives you the privilege of voting. So that's how we know you're a real one. But that's also, fair. Yes, thank you for coming back. Joining us.
Welcome back, guys. How you guys feeling?
Pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling. Have you ever seen that video of what's his name? Is his name Lil Peanut? He has a do-rag on. You ever seen the kid with the money do-rag on? Mm-hmm. I'm feeling good.
That's
what's his name? The one I got that splat. It's that splat right here.
Is that DDG's?
No. That's you talking about? You thinking about what's his name? They showed a picture of him when he was a baby. What is his name?
I forgot, but I'm pretty sure I've
Start
seen all of them.
What is DDG's? You should know.
Oh, Woo Wop.
There you go.
She said, "Oh."
Have you seen that?
That's a little homie.
An old clip of Woo Wop when he was like hecka young, and DDG got him a Spider-Man watch.
Oh.
That video was the cutest thing in the world. He just like juiced. He's like, you see? But now Woo Wop is funny, but back then he was just more like a baby. Like he's like more innocent, so it's like
oh, they're so funny.
Baby Woo Wop is funny. No, what I'm talking about is his name Lil Peanut? But what's the name of that kid who was like, I got that splat. That splat right there.
I've seen that. Yeah. I just don't know. I didn't know he had a reoccurring like.
Oh yeah, he do different things. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
His big thing. He used to wear do-rags all the time. He's like, and he was talking about him and his girl he had a crush on. He said, Dad, they be hating on me. He's like, what you mean they hating on? They be hating on me with my money do-rag on. He said, why they hate on you? Because I'm tough. He got stuff like that, but there's a part when he like doing this, and he's like, I feel good, real good. He always cracked me up.
So that's how you feel?
Yeah. That's just I couldn't find that meme yesterday. I was gonna put it in the chat. I put the other one.
Yeah, I wish, cause if you find it.
But yeah, what about you? What was your guys' week looking like? How was the week?
My week was full of work. Yeah, mostly work. I didn't do much outside of work this week. But it was fine.
Any exciting projects at work?
I went to a training yesterday, which was really cool. I mean, it was okay. Like it was much needed, but also it was kind of a deep topic because it was for mental health and like suicide prevention. But I enjoy learning about those things and how I can help others. So I like the training. Projects, as you know, the Gen Z Speaks Wellness. And so that's an ongoing thing. We're probably going to be collaborating with IYT, with the boys. And so I'm hoping that can happen. We got some main things. And I was in LA for a few days this week, just for like conferences and stuff like that. So travel.
Ooh, fun. Ooh, I wish that I had more like work travel. That sounds like
it's okay.
Exciting.
You travel as a professor?
Not really. I mean, if you're full-timers do for sure, because they're usually at conferences or presenting their research sometimes.
Makes sense.
And adjuncts sometimes also engage in that, or else, several people travel just for vacation. But y'all know I teach all throughout the year, so taking vacation is like comes and goes. Opportunities aren't. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. Barb knows what's up.
Yeah, I gotta hit a Barb.
Plus, yeah. She's been busy. I ran into her this week actually. But yeah, it's kind of a hit or miss for some, depending on the instructor and how much I guess you have to how much you have to teach to live the life you want to live.
Makes sense.
I think that's like for most industries.
That's true.
A lot of people work like 60 plus hours so they can have a few months off.
Depends. There's those people who like, you know, I don't know. I met a lot of regular people who like just work to 40 and then like they have like the little league coaching. I'm like, don't know how you do that.
Sounds so nice though, like just so consistent and
sounds like a vibe. Just to work, and then when you get off work, you like, you know, like it was a guy who was he was like a football coach, and track coach. So he'll work part time as a teacher, and then he'll go train. And I thought that was fire. I always admired it, and now he's a head coach, and I'm like,
that's so cute. Yeah, or nice, because I used to babysit my boss's son, and part of that included taking him to soccer practice sometimes. And now I think about it, it's like, oh, life was so much simpler back then. Like, that was a little pocket change for me. But like, I think, I was working on campus as a program coordinator. So my work really was only at work usually. But life was so much simpler before I was a teacher. And now, I mean, yeah, some people will work overtime so that they can accrue more time off. But for us, at least for adjuncts, there's not accruing that significant amount of time off. The most hours that I've accrued are sick leave. I think I get like 1 day off per semester for personal time. So it's not easy to take a vacation. Yeah. And then when the semesters like don't line up, it's even harder because if spring break's not at the same time, then I can't go away because I still have to teach at these two colleges. So it's just not easy to take time off. And I think people would like to, people are always like, you should go take care of yourself. You should go take some time off. And I'm like, yeah, I do what I can. My bills. Yeah. I pay these bills. Big girl by herself. So, yeah, we take vacations when and where we can. But
I'm jealous.
Why?
I don't know. I like working.
It is nice to be doing what I love to do. Yeah. At least, you know.
I used to be. I don't know. I miss that grind sometimes. Because that's like the thing I hate about. I don't hate about it. I take that word back. That's the thing that's tough about where I work now is that I can't do overtime. And that's be like my favorite thing. It's like, oh, I got nothing to do. Call me up. Y'all need somebody another shop? I'm trying to go. But now it's not, the opportunities aren't there's not as many opportunities for that. So like on the weekend, if I'm doing nothing, like you kind of got to sit in it. Especially like if I'm broke, that's probably like the word. And I don't ever be truly broke, but like I be trying to put off, and I'd be like, guess I'm just gonna sit around this week, watch some movies instead of having to like.
But that's like for me, that's like a mini vacation for me, like being able to sit around and veg out and with some movies. Yeah.
Well, the problem is I'm an extrovert, so like it's not for me.
Okay,
like, I enjoy it, but I really want to be out there in the streets. That's gonna cost a little bit more money. So I'm like, stay at home, watch a movie, make some good dinner. But I'm like, I really want to go to the function.
If you had a puppy or something, then you could go to the dog park.
I would. It's a lot of responsibility. A lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, no, fair.
Like the concept that I have to be right back home boggles my mind.
Yeah, for your loving companion.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love them. I just love when I don't have to take care of them, you know. But if it's mine, I gotta train them. Like that process all seems good, but I just want to be present for that process, and not like like I gotta go out of town and I gotta now think about either taking the dog with me or who gonna babysit the dog. It's like having it's like literally having a kid, but like Nobody else is the other parent.
That daycare thing that costs like hundreds of dollars.
Oh, which one? The doggy one?
Doggy daycare.
Or the hotel. They have a hotel in downtown.
Oh, that sounds like a vibe though.
I wonder if you can volunteer there or something.
You said what?
I'm pretty sure
you can volunteer there or something.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
So, what's up with the topics?
So lately I've been working on myself. I mean, I feel like I'm always working on myself, but when it comes to like my friendships and relationships, and as I mentioned before, like my intention this year was to be more intentional in my friendship relationships, how I show up and things like that. But then part of that is also like evaluating your friendships and kind of determining, you know, not necessarily blocking. I know that was a big war on the previous episode for some folks. But just kind of just reflecting and having that moment of like, who are you calling friends? Are they, you know, are these people you should be labeling friends? Are they your colleague? Or, you know, are they an old coworker? Are they a classmate versus like a neighbor, whatever. So that was my perspective on it. But there was a video that we watched about this man talking about like, you know, action versus words and like what holds more weight, especially when it comes to relationships. And his whole thing was how you act and show up is how you feel about me. So if you're not showing up, then I know how you feel about me. Or like if you are showing up, then I know how you feel about me. And he was saying that at his age, which he seemed like he was in his 30s, that he just doesn't have the capacity or the energy or the time or anything to wonder about where he stands in people's lives and if they feel, you know, even close to how he feels about them, or have any, I guess, enthusiasm or eagerness or intentionality about being his friend as he does want to be their friend or whatever the case. And so I want to know how y'all feel about that and like what y'all's experience has been with like evaluating your friendships or determining like where you need to step back in some relationships, or do you go by that model of like, you know, it is what it is, and you know, if you don't show up then we're not good, you know, we're not friends, whatever. Like, how do y'all feel?
I feel like I'm not like that at all. I used to be a lot more expectant of my friends, like expecting them to give. What's up, Ziggy?
That's Discord.
Is it Discord? What's up, Discord? Anyway. But yeah, as we've talked about in some episodes, you know, with time, I've come to become more comfortable by myself and in my solitude and also in distance in a lot of friendships that used to be much closer and more, I think, constant in communication and contact. So if anybody's changed, it's probably been me, especially. And I understand where he's coming from in terms of like some people just don't have the capacity to wonder. But for me, I'm not usually wondering quite as much. I'm just trusting my friend is my friend and is going to be there when I need them, and they're going to, and trust that they know I'll be there for them when they really need me. But there is something to be said about speaking each other's language. And if you have a friend that does enjoy more consistent communication, more consistent contact, then creating space for that to occur within whatever boundary you have for your own personal energy. And, you know, I don't know, that's something that when it comes down to how you act and behave is how you feel about me, then I can see it adding up. You know, if you've had the conversation and you create the space as best you can, because you can't please everybody. I'm not going to be able to see you every day or talk to you every day, but I can talk to you more often if you express that and give me the space to accommodate and compromise. But I don't expect that of my friends. I just know that like maybe I need to come back around to some of the old expectations. But I don't know. I feel like my friends be off living their lives peacefully, and I'd be living mine peacefully too. So when it's time to need each other or be in peace together, we will. And when we're not, that's okay. So I just, yeah. But what do you think, Ariel? What you thinking over there?
Why am I being called out?
It was making faces.
I just took a sip of water.
I'm also curious because you, oh yeah, I didn't notice. Probably because I was monologuing a little bit, but I'm curious because, you know, what your immediate reaction was to his video when you saw it.
It was, I get it. Like the capacity thing, because I feel like, especially making new friends in adulthood, it's just like, yeah, you understand we're all adults. We all have our own lives and ambitions and, you know, things that we're prioritizing. But it's at the same time, it's just like, if you want this, like,
Be here.
Yeah, like, but to what you were saying about like knowing that communication and language between the two of you, that's what I did with my friends, right? With my intentions this year was check in and be like, how often do you expect to see me or talk to me, or like what areas can I improve in to show up better for you? And like you said, every friend is different. I had one friend who was like, I need to FaceTime with you 3 times a week and see you on the weekends, and I'm just like, compromise. I can probably like show my face once a week and see you every other week, you know, potentially. And then I had one friend who's just like, I just need to have like a good check-in once a month over the phone. That's fine, you know?
Yeah.
So just knowing that, you know, people are individuals and they're going to require different or like expect different, you know, things in a relationship. But I definitely resonate in a sense of, like I said, when you're starting a new friendship, because it's like, if the foundation's never built, like you can't go into thinking like, oh, I just trust this at my friend, you know?
Yeah.
Because I do have plenty of friends where I'm just like, we don't talk constantly or consistently, and we know how we feel about each other, you know, we locked in and stuff. But it's when it's creating space for new friendships or to develop a new friendship or any type of relationship. It's just like, dang, I'm the only one putting into work to get to know you, to like, you know, create space and us like forming an actual friendship, things like that. That's where I kind of related more in that sense where he was coming from.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel, because our friendship is very new. Like, how would you say our communication is?
I think I intentionally.
Is that an uncomfortable question, by the way? You don't have to.
No, it's not uncomfortable. I think I reach out more to you intentionally, because I know that we see each other during the recording and like during our meetings and stuff. But it's just like, if I want to kiki with you and know like what else you got going on and like what you're all about outside of this, and not to throw him under the bus, but when I asked him about it, he was like, yeah, you know, Allie doing her thing. I'm just like, well,
She do.
I was just like, well, I want to talk to her more. So that's when I started, you know, hopefully cultivating that more of that culture in our relationship, of just, you know, calling or texting or just randomly sharing different things with each other. But that was just something I desired.
Yeah, no,
and so I kind of made it happen.
I know, but I love that because it reminds me of friendships I used to have that I don't have kind of anymore. I just kind of what's assimilated, I guess. That's really not the word I wanted to use though, but like I feel like I just kind of naturally formed to the circumstances, which was a shift in our connection because, you know, I've talked about my sorority sisters a lot. Like, I'm going to go hang out with them today. And I've had an up and down kind of sentiment about being in a sorority and even my relationship with my sorority sisters over the years, because again, like we've talked about, when we were in undergrad, we were seeing each other every day. Some of us have classes. We're having events together. We're competing in shows together. So there's all of this task that's conveniently happening. And then when the occasion of school is out of the picture, we have to put the effort forward. And so for me, it was like several years of trying to maintain that constant communication that we used to have, and it being no more. And so I've really gotten comfortable with it not being like that anymore, to a point where it's not the norm. But it's refreshing to feel from you and for it to be expressed, because the other side of it too is sometimes I find people won't express it, or they'll be frustrated and resentful, as opposed to giving, again, some space for accommodation and compromise. So yeah, I'm very grateful for, one, just the desire to be friends. It's mutual. But also, two, just being reminded of, I think that you're a better friend than I am, to be honest, like a better quality friend. I feel like I'm learning how to be a friend again through our friendship, and it's really nice. So, yeah, I really appreciate this topic in question in particular for that part, largely for that reason, as I circle back to my sorority and, re-engage in a new way, in a loving way, not a resentful way, not a way that's like, oh, we used to be friends and talk every day, and, now I don't even know you anymore. Or like maybe leaving some space for like, it's okay to evolve and we get to know each other at another time.
Yeah, I think as college students, that's something all of us go through. It's just like, even my core friend group here in Sacramento, we're college friends. And so even us, like, still living in Sacramento together, but it's just like, I know I'm not going to see you every day because we're not on campus every day anymore. Like, just all the things you said. And so that was like a 2-year transition for us too, of like kind of figuring out like, okay, someone's going to grad school, someone's getting married, someone's moving there, and we're pursuing our careers, and that looks a lot different for each individual depending on like what they're going to do, and us being intentional around making time to see each other, even though it's like not every day, but it was hard for us. Like, we all expressed like, this is weird, like I'm not gonna see you every day, we're not roommates anymore, like we have big bills now that we need to pay, like things like that. So I think that's just a regular transition that all college students go through. Even it's a transition even in high school. Like, I talked to my little cousin, and she's very mature for her age. The way she talks to me, I was like, I'm talking to someone like my age? But she was expressing to me how she's like been reflecting on her relationships and like trying to figure out like which ones are worth sustaining after high school. And like who was really her friends. Like, she's looking back over the last few years and like just kind of evaluating like who's really been kind to me, and like who's really showed up with me, or who's been around just because of I have this, or I can provide this, or whatever the case. And I'm just like, you're 18 and you're already doing this, like that's amazing. I love that for you. But yeah, so even like I said, coming out of high school is just like, especially high school, because you're like in multiple classes together, and yeah, it's just a different transition each time. And yeah, I think that's pretty average, pretty normal to go through that, and trying to find that, like you said, without developing like a resentment, but more of an understanding and accommodating. When you're starting to redevelop those relationships and finding a new normal. So definitely went through that as well, even though I wasn't in, I was in the fraternity sort of, but that's another topic.
Okay, like sort of. You want to?
Well, it's not a fraternity. Well, people call us a fraternity, but we're not a fraternity.
Is it co-ed or is it?
It's Chi Alpha.
Oh, okay, I'm familiar. Fun, because Chi Alpha is service, right? Or no?
It's Christian based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So, I actually ran into one of my Chi Alpha sisters at one of my work events, and she was like, "I haven't seen you." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize you." Which is bad, but
no, time does that.
Most of my sisters who were in my either in my, I guess, year, and right after me, we all go to church together now. So
That's cute.
it's just really cool. And it wasn't planned. We just all randomly ended up at the same church. We're just like, so that was a cute little
That's
connection.
cute. Soul sisters.
Yeah.
Or friends, because you said it was co-ed. It was, yeah, Chi Alpha is co-ed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pretty fire.
What about you, Wuzi?
Yeah. How do you feel about like evaluating your friendships? Maybe practicing like, okay, this is my coworker versus my friend, or like understanding or determining like how people show up in your friendship, or if they're putting as much effort in as you, or
How important that is, or measuring that for yourself.
I mean, I guess it depends. I've never run into the issue of not knowing, or I should say, I don't run into the issue of like, I would say I'm pretty good at knowing where I stand with somebody, at least in my own head.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only issue that I run into is when somebody else is seeking more. I'm not the most aware of that, because for me, I'm more of like kind of like how it's set, like that's what it is, unless there's like something that changes. So I've always been, when I was younger, I used to struggle with the like calling everybody a friend, but now I'm like, oh, that's my friend's friend, or that's my cousin's friend, or that's my acquaintance, that's my coworker, blah blah blah. And I have run into some issues where I'll say that and they'll feel like the other way, and I'm like, ugh. And not even like me being like, it was just more like, I'm like, we don't even, you know what I'm saying, we only hang out in this environment, so like I didn't really see it no other type of way. In the situations where I've wanted like I've had coworkers and wanted them to be friends, I've made the effort to like hang out with them outside of that environment. But to the initial question, I mean, hearing what he's saying, I think it makes sense. How old was the guy?
He looked like he was like in his 30s. You say how old is he, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I was going to ask you guys this after I say this. I feel like, I wonder if it just depends on if it differentiates as you get older. Because like kind of like you were saying with high school and college, a lot of friendships are built on being in like common space. Mm-hmm. But once that's not the case, building friendships looks a lot different. You know, because your next common space from that point is like work or your social groups.
It goes back to our third place.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask you guys, like, as you get older, do you feel like you're a little bit more like particular about who you build friendships with or who you allow in your space?
For me, I am more particular because I made most of my friends do school because I was in school for so long. And then when I started working real jobs, like I made friends do work. So it was just like happenstance type of thing. But now that I'm making friends outside of those environments, or common areas, it's just like, I think I told you guys this before, but I was intentional about making more Black friends and more Christian friends, because I just needed to feel part of my communities in that way, and wanted people who could understand me and relate to me and like my lifestyle, and my life experiences. And so in that sense, yeah, I've been more intentional of like putting myself in spaces with more Black culture and Black people, putting myself in spaces with more Christian folk. And so, yeah, I have definitely within the last 4 years, that's been my intention of just surrounding myself with more people like that because they understand me more, and my values and things like that. Also, especially when it comes to Christianity, is just like having that accountability, them understanding your struggle, because like, you know, it'd be a struggle being a Christian. So just having that relative connection and things like that was important for me, and so I was intentional about making more friends in those avenues.
Do you feel like by focusing on certain areas that it kind of leaves you vulnerable in a sense?
In what way?
Of like, not saying you experience it, but does like basically having you dealing with people that you probably wouldn't naturally deal with?
When it comes to my Christian friends, like I've always had Christian friends growing up and stuff, but I haven't had like a steady church home since I've been in SAC. And so it was just like, I'll meet people maybe at a conference and change numbers, or I'll meet people like, well, Christians at a conference or Christians in like a cafe. But then it's come to the point of just like, okay, we changed numbers, but where do you go from here? So having like a third place, like hope, and having to see them weekly and engage with them throughout the week, and it just makes things a lot more easier. So it's not necessarily that I wouldn't engage with people like that often. I mean, like in a normal occasion. And then when it comes to Black people, it's just, I think we've talked about this too. Like I've had Black friends, but majority of my friends have always been of other ethnicities and nationalities. And so I feel like I had a void, in connection in that way in my community, in my friend group. So I don't think it left me vulnerable, because I still have all my other friends of all these different interests and religions and all those things. I feel like I have a pretty decent balance.
What I really meant was, I give you an example with
like blind spots.
No, like
okay.
More like a good example is like getting more Christian friends. Sometimes, especially people who probably haven't grown in faith their whole life, we can conflate that like everybody who's a Christian is like a decent human being.
Oh no.
And like,
well, that's why I said I needed.
I'm being like kind of being real about it. Where it's like, I've had some people who like have been like church folk, but like they ain't my church folk.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant when I say like vulnerable. Like, have you ever been in a situation like that? Not literally verbatim, but like wondering, have you like oh, like say example, like I'm gonna hang out with more artists, but then like I hang out with artists, or like actually like a good example would be, maybe I shouldn't put that stereotype, but like like hanging out with like a lot of my sports homies. A lot of the sports homies was, they lived a different lifestyle. Like that is common as far as like, being more ladies' men and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, I want more sports friends that I could talk to, but like them also ain't like the type of people that I want to be around. I'm not saying that that's just using like a blanket example.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced that. I feel like I have pretty good discernment around folks and their character and how they move. So I think in general, I think that should be something to consider. Like you say, even in other avenues of having sports friends or artist friends or whatever. But yeah, I haven't experienced like that with any folks I've met in these more recent years in that community. So
yeah, and I wasn't speaking really to the community, but I just wonder about, by focusing in on a type of demographic, I just wondered if it,
I met a lot of witches and I didn't want to meet. But I was like, I want to make more Black women friends. And then they were just all witches. And I was like, I'm good. And so now I was just like, why do you look so confused?
Like Harry Potter?
Yeah, like witches. Like they practice witchcraft and stuff. And so that, I guess in that sense, I was vulnerable because I ran into like 4 different ones. Just out of effort, I wanted to like make more Black women friends.
Yeah. Our spirituality is definitely expanding beyond Christianity, even especially dabbling there, because I've had my own era in that space. I don't consider myself a witch, but I'm interested in like the other ways I feel like I've experienced God, beyond my experiences in the church, because I lived a very intentional life. I I lived a very intentional life in the church for most of my life. After undergrad, I was like very committed to church and being a Christian. And then when I started to explore more and I considered myself more into witchy things, I started to lose connection with some of my Christian friends. And that was difficult because I was like, well, I don't not believe in God anymore. I still 100% believe in God. If anything, believe in God more than I did as a Christian. But yeah, I feel like a very real dichotomy in our community, especially for Black women, is like trying to figure out how to navigate that.
Yeah.
Because there are women that are engaging in that in I think some very dangerous ways.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like needing to really be careful about who you're crossing paths with and who you're calling your friend.
Yeah. And I was running into that and I'm just like, okay, yeah.
Won't be right. I ain't never ran into that.
Probably better.
Good.
Huh?
Probably better that that's the case.
Oh, 100%.
All people who claim to be witches are not bad. Also, to put that to be fair about like, you know, stereotypes and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, to also be fair, I mean, I was raised J-Dub, so I'm pretty about this. I'm pretty I'm pretty quick to like pivot. Like once I hear the word like Ouija board, I'm like, yeah, I'm out the way. Come inside, not my friend. Or like tarot cards. If like I'm just like, yeah, you know, like if I see someone's Instagram page, I'm like, oh, I just met this person. I'm looking at it, say like doing free tarot readings. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not gonna follow you. Like, and I'm not to knock it. It's just for me.
That's how I felt with dating. I ran into this guy and he was like, I want to try this and this. I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. I don't think I have it in me to try that stuff. So, especially dating, I feel like friends is a little bit more flexible, like you said, depending on, you know, understanding of their practice or their like, I don't know. I feel like there's layers to certain things, but when it comes to like my romantic partner, I'm just like, no, there's a clear
line.
Yeah.
Delineation.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because you want somebody that's on the same page as you.
Yeah.
To not get too far from the topic, I wanted to like ask, because I was thinking about when you were explaining like being intentional with like kind of like forming a demographic. I think that's the thing. That's another thought that I had when I heard that heard you guys speak about it, was because like we talked about earlier, we talked about like the guy who has the who lives a regular life, meaning like all they do is go to work and like have like some activity after work and then that's it. Like I feel like when it comes to friendships in your older age, because when you're younger, you have so much free time. Mm-hmm. So you have so much space for anybody. Like even if somebody's doing something completely different from you, you have this free space to even explore it and things like that. And I feel like as I get older and like just realize that people have different capacities and live different lives, I feel like your friends, like I feel like that that affects your friendships. So a good example would be like, and this is not 100% true, but like understanding like somebody who is like is just like their life is just like mom is like a husband, wife, dad, parent, that's all their life like revolves around is that. You know, they might not understand a single person who feels like they have more priorities than them, because it's like, well, I have kids and stuff like that and I can make space, but you're a single person and yeah, you have other things going on, but you don't have the same space, so they might feel like it's a lack of priority on the friendship space. So I feel like that also comes into play as you get older, especially when you finally get seated in a career or are going towards something. I feel like that becomes a thing. I think the easiest way to compare is like somebody who like does sports in like college. Like someone who do sports might focus way more time on exercising and things like that, versus somebody else who's might doing a more academic scholarship will be more focused in that area, and you will start to diverge even though you guys are both in the same proximity. And I feel like to bring that back is just, I feel like as I get older, there's space for people who have come into my life when we were at the same place, or when we met or we converged at one point. But I do find it hard for me to make a new friend who might be living a more, I guess you could say, contrary life. Like, it's someone like for me who wants to go into like business and like is more on the go. It can be hard for me to get like a quote unquote regular friend who wants to hang out and like talk on the phone every day and like go watch movies once a week and stuff like that. Like, that might be a little bit harder for me. And that doesn't mean that they're not a good person, but it might not just be a good fit for my life that I live. So I had to decipher, even like that might be a good person and it might be dope to have them around, but I don't want to try to start a relationship with them that I can't even nurture. That makes sense. Yeah. And I wonder, like, as you guys, especially like for you, Allie, who can understand like working like multiple campuses at once, like, does that dictate how you go about making friendships? Or is it like, if you can like fit in the pockets, then we can make something work? Like, how does that look for you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm often starting friendships that I can't finish or really be fully committed to. Like, I'll meet someone when I'm in a short season and be really excited to collab. Like, for example, I usually teach Umoja classes at Sac City and at both my schools. And recently I had the experience where I wasn't teaching Umoja, which is specifically for Black students, pro-Black faculty. You know, you don't have to be Black, but you got to be pro-Black for sure. But one campus I have Umoja, one campus I don't have Umoja, and the frequency in which I'm interacting with my Umoja family is fully contingent upon if I'm teaching an Umoja class that semester. Of course, we're going to touch base here and there, but I'm not going to be in touch every week, every other week, like I would if I'm teaching an Umoja class. And that's purely because of time. Like, every semester when I'm on campus changes. So one semester might be good and we can see each other regularly for lunch, but the next semester I can't even, for example, one of my favorite yoga classes, like, can't go if I'm teaching at a particular time, but that's my place. And so it 100% affects how I show up. And, you know, I do feel bad about it because there are people who I wish I could invest more time in, but because of the nature of my life and schedule, I don't have that flexibility all the time. So then I don't build the friendships.
So it can be like a seasonal thing. I feel like that's quite normal for adults. It's just like, especially if you do have hobbies, but hobbies are only like, from April to June, this is what we're doing.
But it's different at work though, because a lot of folks have people to socialize with consistently at work. Like, you say colleagues versus friends. And that's where it's been difficult for me. I've considered a lot of people my friend, especially in my work, even if we only see each other every other semester. But in learning that, you know, this point of you can't really call everybody friend, I am starting to be more careful about who gets that title, especially at work.
Yeah.
You know,
because I feel like friend requires more of you. So
I feel like it depends.
Kind of gives you an easier way to go about things too.
I feel like it depends on your definition of what a friend is too. I shouldn't say. I feel like, again, as I get older, I mean, I think this is for most people, words and things just evolve over time. So like, when I was younger, a friend was like anybody that just, we are cool. Like, if we're cool together, you're my friend. Like, I'm not expecting nothing of you and things like that. Like, you're just like, no, that's my friend. That's my homie. Like, yeah, we hang out on the monkey bars during research. Like, that's my friend. But as I get older, I think, again, you just expect more and honestly need more. And I feel like that's when I feel like the shift starts to where things start to shift, because like I don't have a problem calling someone my friend when it doesn't matter, because I get all the support from like my family and stuff like that. But as I get older and like you said, the world is kind of like rough, you know, my family is available, but my family's not gonna always be available. And like there's certain friends who can like, this is not probably the best phrase, but like can fill that gap, or like have some like there's some resemblance in that where like we really connect on a deeper level. And those are the ones that people that I call friends now. And I feel like some people who maybe just haven't really got there, or, you know, maybe not been in that deep with certain people, might not, they just be like, oh no, like we're just cool. Like I might not talk to him for 3 weeks. That's my friend nonetheless. But other people might be like, well, if you say you my friend, like, then if I need to move out, you should be coming to pull up to help me move out. And it's like, I didn't sign up for this. And I feel like I've run into that issue, especially when I was younger, like in my 20s. Obviously, I'm still in my 20s, but in my mid 20s, I run into the issue of like friends, like people saw friendship in different, like on a different spectrum than I did. Like as I got older, a friend was like, no, if you my friend, like we locked in. Versus maybe 2 years before, I'd be like, nah, this is my homie. Like that's my friend. Like I met him at the bar one time. That's the friend. You know, like, but that's not the same person I will also call. And that, again, like, as I get older, I got into like associate, colleague, friend of a friend. You know, I'm not, all these people aren't on the same level, and I had to start differentiating. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like people have their own life, so I feel like people start to differentiate at different times, depending on their environment and whatever, everything going on. But,
Yeah.
you know.
I feel like it's also, for me, because I hear that, but for me, it's also like a spectrum of acceptance, because I don't know if y'all know that I used to read tarot, but I used to.
I thought you still did.
I know you do.
I still have cards, but I haven't read for almost a year, because I've been working on like my own energy healing and just kind of really trying to get to the root of why I feel connected to it, and what, if I am supposed to use that as a gift, like what's it really supposed to be used for, if at all. You know, so I've been very intentional about experiencing this curiosity with God. And again, I feel like I've come across a lot of friends or acquaintances who make assumptions about me, especially because it's a random interest that nobody, especially coming from being super Christian, like no, people will be like, what do you mean? How do you know how to do this all of a sudden? But if you've been a friend, then you've actually known how much a transformative, like spiritual journey that I've been on since 2017, you know, at least since 2017, which is when I graduated, and also experienced pretty much one of a pretty intense loss, like an intense loss that shook my whole spirit and soul. And so, on the outside looking in, you can make assumptions that she's witchy, she does magic, all this stuff. But I'm like, I've never done that. I don't do magic. I do blessings and prayer, and I meditate, and I like to use oracles to help me make wise decisions, and hear God kind of through another platform, not platform, but like for me, it's a medium. Some people hear spirit through pastors and preaching, through scripture and the Bible, through animals and creatures, you know, through songs and music and lyrics. And for others, it's through certain arts. And that's really what tarot is. It's cards that have art that translate a particular spiritual meaning and message. And so for me, it's pure, but for many others, they don't see that. And so coming back to the point I'm just trying to make about acceptance, friendship for me is about people who can accept me for who I am, and have, you know, we have created space in the friendship, no matter if we've known each other for a few months or we've known each other for years. The amount of space that we have to accept each other is more of how I'm measuring the quality of, you know, the people in my life, and if they're getting to be called a friend. So yeah, I hear you. But for me, I feel like it's just like a little bit of a different qualifier for my scale, my friendship scale.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, acceptance is obviously the thing when it comes to a friend, because I don't, because again, like I said, you guys know me for a while at this point. Y'all know what type of person I am, and I'm not very covert about who I am. So with that being the case, I definitely have made friends with people who aren't the same as me. Yeah. That makes any sense. And I don't think anything is wrong with that. Like, I got friends that, like I said, I've known that for a long time. I've seen your sound bowls and all that stuff. So it's not like those things are a secret to me, and it doesn't change who you are to me. I mean, we all have our own life to live, you know what I'm saying? So I think it always is acceptance for sure. I just say, like, example, I've had friends who were cheaters, and at that time that didn't matter to me. But then when I got to a place where I wasn't okay with that, I'm not gonna cut that person off. But I know when I'm dealing with people, if they have those similar characteristics, there's gonna be more distance I put between that person, because I understand, like, you can pick that stuff up, type stuff. And with something like, it just also depends on the person. Like, it'd be different if you were into tarot, but you always try to push it onto me. Then that becomes a big thing for me, because now it's like, it's between acceptance and, like, I don't know the exact words, but, like, there's some people who just try to, like, push things onto them. And I think Christian friends are a good example of that. Like, especially, like, if you, like, are friends with, like, evangelists, they're so quick to push what they believe onto you, instead of, like, understanding that it's not we all have our own journey, and there's nothing I can really do. And we can either accept that you're on a different journey than I am, or we're not gonna be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might not get what you get with, but that's your flavor. That's not my flavor. If we can still find common ground, we can be friends. But if you can't, and you feel like there's, like, some, like, things, I got friends who believe all different types of religions. I mean, it just is what it is. But it just, again, acceptance is the thing, and it's just acceptance doesn't mean, like, what's the word? Is it compliance? Maybe. Like, you don't have to do the same thing as me. You just have to accept this is what I do, and that's the biggest thing for me. And I feel like not a lot of people. I've met some people, and people that I'm usually not friends with, is people who want me to do the same thing they're doing. Like, if I have a friend who likes to drink all the time, and they feel like you'll never come drink with me, those are the type of friends that I can't have, because I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna be able to drink all the time.
Yeah. I can't maintain that expectation, because that's not true to who I am. Yeah, and
that's when it comes down to, like, seasons of life, where it's like, this season I might have had a lot of time to play video games, but now I'm in a season where I'm not playing video games very often. If our friendship was only based on that, well, I guess we're not friends no more. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, So
I think that also plays into the point of, like, you have friends for different reasons and needs. And so you might have, like, a tennis friend, or a video game friend, or a drinking friend, whatever, you're into, and recognizing that friend probably can't provide all the things you need in a friend. That might just be, like, a hobby friend or whatever.
But even then, I'll classify as a like, almost like a colleague or acquaintance in that sense. Yeah. I only see you in one avenue of life.
But they also could give great advice, or, like, be like.
But I don't take away from them.
I like the term casual friend.
Casual friend.
Yeah, like, casual friend versus close friend are two different.
So I was telling Wuzi about this. There's this guy on YouTube. He was talking about how he has, like, a tier of friends. He doesn't like it.
I'm like nodding my head, like, yeah, that sounds reasonable.
I've been trying to see if I can remember. So he has his significant other, which is his wife, and then he had his intimate best friends, his best friends, his friends, and then his acquaintances. I think it might have been more, but he was saying that's how he, like, distinguishes his friendships. And he was saying how sometimes the best friends might change in what season you're in, but the intimate friends remain the same pretty, across the board in every season.
Yeah.
How do you
Well, it feels kind of, I wouldn't differentiate so many levels between friends.
Yeah, he had a lot. I don't even know if I named all of them, but he had a lot.
Yeah, I feel like for me it's like close friend, casual friend. Acquaintance would be the next step. Like we just barely met. So I like colleague though, but colleague would still be on the level of acquaintance. It's just like work acquaintance specifically. So I mean, I do think figuring out, like, I don't know, I do think labeling relationships is an important part of really figuring out where you're at in the connection, and for both people to be on the same page. Otherwise, yeah, you don't want people to be on different steps. So I don't hate it personally, but I also have had the problem, like I said, of calling too many people my friend.
And then they'd be like,
or I literally just don't have the time for them. It's like not even anything personal. I just don't have the capacity to keep up with everybody that I meet because I'm social. Like, I meet people everywhere I go.
I'm starting to feel that.
You understand. I know you understand.
I don't think I have capacity to form any more relationships right now.
As badly as I want. That's the thing. And I want to be in more relationships and friendships, I should say, with people and be more consistently in contact. But I just can't afford to do that right now. So I'm, like I said, very grateful for the people who accept me and, roll with the seasons as they change in my life and give me the space to roll with their seasons too. So it's just having a reaction. But yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, I'm not against it. I just said that sounds like way too much thinking.
Oh, like the labels are like,
bro, I'm not sitting here boiling down all my friendships and to try to figure out what level they are like.
Oh yeah. Well.
But then again, I don't have that. If we're talking about friends, I don't have that many friends.
Yeah, I think I have more. Do you feel like you have more acquaintances than friends?
I mean, I got a lot of people who probably feel like we're friends, but we're not friends. Like, so yeah, like, and because I know there's semantics to words, but I don't really, especially when it comes to like friends, I don't really attach emotion to them. Like, I don't see an acquaintance as less than a friend. it's like an intensity thing. Like, bro, I don't talk to you often. Like, like.
But while I'm thinking of casual friend, I'm thinking of like, it's probably mutual that we know we're casual friends because we both really just only see each other every now and then. But with close friends, I have an idea of who my close friends are, but I like having this conversation makes me feel like I need to go back and figure this out. Because remember I was saying at work, I thought people were friends, and it just was we were colleagues, and I learned that the hard way. So actually, one of my longtime best friends recently broke up with me, and that was like so out of the blue, to be honest. But I think I needed to have checked in. I needed to really figure out how she was feeling or how they were feeling, because I felt it sooner, like just a bit of tension or resentment, but I didn't call it out, and I should have sooner. But I think when you don't define the relationship and you don't make sure that you both are valuing it in the same way, then you do run the risk of losing a lot of friends over the course of time. And maybe that's why I'm shut off also, Ariel. Just like a lot of friendship losses, and
But that's tired. Part of the accepting part, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's on their different healing journeys.
Yeah. So. And I send her all the love. Like, I don't have ill will about that decision, because really I know both people are in a decision, but for me, that's my bestie. So it's like, it's fine if you feel that way, but it's all love from me. And, I know. Acceptance.
I think I will say though, I do have a lot of acquaintances. Like, I have a decent size of friends. Even like, I consider, for me, like, if you were my friend, you don't like stop being my friend because we disconnect. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person that, unless you just did something. Like I only got one, maybe two people that's like, you're not my friend, dog. Like we might have been friends at one point, like you're not my friend, dog. But other than that, like everybody who's like has got to that level of like, you know what I'm saying? Like we used to talk all the time. And like I'm talking about like about real things and not like we used to talk all the time about nothing. Like you're still my friend, like you're still my writer, like period. But I think as I got older, I just been very more careful about letting people cross that threshold, knowing how I am about that. So there's like a lot of people that I would say I interact with shallowly, like on a shallow level, that I might interact with more often than my friends, but that
But I
don't
don't
make
feel like you interact with people in a shallow.
me.
Yeah, like I feel like you're a very
You think so?
deep person, even in first encounter.
I don't know.
So I think that's probably why people get confused.
Well, I think the thing is that because it's a give and take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always gonna be open no matter what situation I'm in. Period. Like, because I'm only me. I can only be me. But you can, in being able to be that way. I know people who, like my friends. It's not one sided. If that makes sense. Like me and Allie, for a good example. I know what Allie got going on, just like I know like Allie got an idea what I got going on. There's a give and take here. There's some people who might know what Najar got going on because I'm a lot more open, but I don't never know what the hell you got going on. And that's not a knock to them, but it's like, I mean, and I'm not the type of person to even pull something out. Like, especially if it's one of those things where like you visibly are feeling the type of way and you don't say nothing, or when you are in a mood, you're like disappear. How can I call you my friend? For real, for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a knock. That's just for who I want to be close to me and who I want to be around me. Because the way, when you're a friend for me, like I bring you around like everybody. Like it's not like you're around everybody. So if you can't keep it real with me, why would I bring you around other people who like, that's like the standard? Like we're all here in this together, like on, especially when we talk about community, like we're all here to kind of support each other in a way. So it's like, if you can't even like, in this interaction, we can't even like have that, it's kind of tough. And I also don't want to conflate that like being, like being deep is like a sign of like friendship either. Cause I think about a lot of like people I met on like drunk nights. Them people you will get deep with somebody and never talk to them again. Same thing with Uber drivers. I've had a lot of Uber drivers like let it all out. And I think a lot of it be because you might not see me again. You could be a little bit more free. But if you thought that I might see you again, you might not have that same energy, So I don't know. That's just what I would say. I feel like I personally have a lot more acquaintances than I do like true friends. And I might sometimes dance that line, like call them a friend sometimes. But if I really, really like get down to it, like who am I going to call when I really need them? It's a lot. It's not very many people on that list of like Najar is not in the best mood and he needs like someone to listen, someone to uplift him, someone to just pull up, like whatever. That list is not very long for Najar, period. Mm-hmm. And nothing against people who aren't on that list, but it's just like, and not to mention sometimes I'll even test it, like I'll call somebody that's not on the list and it'd be proven. So
Do you feel like you test a lot of your relationships?
Not intentionally, but just like, I feel like we all test the lines. I think naturally, I mean, you're supposed to, I think. Like, example, you do the same. You say you've done it before where like I'll invite somebody to something to see if they show up. And if they don't show up, well, let me know where they at. Like I think that's a natural thing, and we all do it in our different ways. Like if I invite you to the function, you're not pulling up 3 times, like it's kind of a clear it's like kind of like a clear thing right there. Like especially like people who are weird, like they'll text you all the time but never want to kick it. It's like especially in the dating world. I've done that. I've seen that a lot in the dating world. It's like, you want to talk to me all the time, but we can't ever get to see face to face.
Yeah.
Blocked. That's a blockable offense. Blocked. He wasted my time. But no, I don't. I think it's normal to test relationships. I mean, do you feel like you ever like? Maybe not the word's not test, but do you ever feel like you have an idea of what it is, and you try to apply that, and then either get it in return, or you realize like you said with a colleague, this is not what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious what Ariel has to say first. Need a little more time to marinate myself.
This is a topic. Am I saying something crazy?
No. What I can say that I agree with from that is I have the same experience of having more acquaintances than close friends, but it's on the opposite of I feel like I know more about what's going on with people who I will call a friend than they will actually know what's going on with me. I think a lot of people anyway. But I want to know what Ariel has to say first, because I feel like my tangent will take us a different place.
To touch on that part as well, there has been a lot of times where I would question, but I feel like that's my attachment style. I have issues. I need to heal.
I got issues.
It's me.
It's not y'all. It's me.
It's not you. It's me. But yeah, have been times when I like thought someone was my friend, and I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm not your friend. Got it. And so I think that's why I'm a little bit more of that evaluator of friendships more frequently, because of that, of me, like, I know for romantic relationships, it's like you define a relationship, but like, how often do you do that in a friendship? You know, like, am I your close friend? Am I your acquaintance? Like, where we at? You know, like, you usually kind of just have to test, I guess, and see what your culture is within your relationship, and like, you know, where can I expect you to, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like it comes with just going through the motions of it and trying to determine, you know.
I will say test is not probably the best word.
No, but I think we get what you mean by test. Yeah.
Because I only say that because I think about it on the opposite side of the spectrum. It's like, if you feel like someone I've had situations like this where I have not felt this close. I haven't felt close to a person, but they'll invite me to an intimate setting. What's so funny?
I just felt targeted.
No, not like that. No, not like that. I'm talking about like,
I was scared. Okay,
get invited to like, well, now I'm gonna say birthday, and she feel like I'm talking about her. You know, you get invited to something like that, and you're like,
oh,
for sure. But it don't. For me, that to me is like a open, like, oh, they see this as more, so like kind of like check in. But also on the flip side, I've had a situation where it's like, damn, nigga, you didn't invite me to your birthday. And it's like, I got to reevaluate the situation. So that's why, like, when I say test too, like, I don't really mean it. Like, I do, but I think it's just assess. Assess. Like, it's like kind of like, here's everything that's happened thus far. Based on this, let's do this. And if it don't, maybe it ain't that. Or let's do this. Like, I'm more often to invite someone to my birthday dinner than not to, if that makes more sense. And if you don't come, or you have, you know, whatever, I let that be what it is. Then to like assume like, unless it's like, this depends on the situation. Like, if I'm going out of town, I'm not inviting everybody to go out of town. It's not happening. I'm inviting people that I actually want to go out of town with. But like, you know what I'm saying? You having a party. Yeah. You know, come on. But I've been on the other side where it's like, dang, I thought we was close, and we wasn't. I guess we wasn't. I guess I don't know where I got this assumption from, or maybe things have changed too. And that's a lot of times what it is. Things have changed. Like, I think I can relate to the part of Allie where it's like, I've assumed a friendship can withstand distance, and some friendships cannot.
Yeah.
Cannot like, nah, bro, you was gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nah. I'm like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. Everyone's capacity is different. So you gotta have those conversations, communicate expectations and standards and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like any other type of relationship. It's a lot, but
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think people probably are in these friendships different. Some people are more of an assessor. Some people are probably more a communicator. Some might be an even balance of both. But I think I'm more of a communicator than an assessor. And so I'm usually having conversations like, you know, if I feel like we're at bestie place, or if I feel like you're my bestie, I'm not afraid to tell somebody that and it be one-sided. Like, I feel like you're my bestie in my life. You might have other besties and that's cool, but I just want you to know in my life, you know, you're one of my besties. And I like that to be a conversation. Or for me, it's like if I'm invited to an intimate gathering, even though we've yet to really have conversations about like, well, how close are we as friends? For me, I'm like, oh, this is an invitation to be closer. And so for me, if I take it, then I'm into it. But if I don't, then sometimes it's either I don't have the time or I'm not interested in being invested in that way. Yeah. So yeah, I just think some people are more willing to talk about it and some people are more be about it. And you know, I do think that's what contributes to a lot of the conflicts too.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it leads back to what he said, though. I mean, because that's the one thing I wanted. I'm glad you brought that up because that was one thing I wanted to talk about when he said that it's about action versus like actions are more valuable than words. While I feel like that's true, like you said, other people don't feel like that's true.
Yeah.
I can be there for you all the time, but if I don't verbally say you my best friend, somebody might really go off the ears like, dang, bro, I don't even know if we close like that. You don't ever, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what?
But the last dude I was talking to was his last love language was words of affirmation. And it's like one of my top 3. And I remember a specific conversation we had where he was like, I was like, well, words mean everything to me. And he was like, words mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, we are polar opposites. So yeah, sorry. But yeah.
Yeah, you have to understand people's love languages even in friendships. So
Yeah, that's what's that.
that's why I said it's a lot.
Yeah. It's layered.
It's layered. It's
That's
a
why I
lot.
always crack up at the L word when people are like, I love you. I'm like,
I don't mind telling people I love them and they don't say it back.
Me neither.
That's how I feel.
do you? Well, especially like, I don't know. Words of affirmation has not been my thing ever.
But when people think you need to prove your love, that's where things can get dangerous because it's like, if people think that your love is all action oriented or your care is all action oriented, I just think that that's like exhausting. That's an exhausting way to be in relationship. Sometimes I cannot do the things that you need, and sometimes you can't do the things that I need. So I don't know, for that to be a contingency in the friendship, I feel like bruh is kind of limiting his ability to experience more like independence in his friendships, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, but again, I guess depending on like you said, I think this is a new thing he got based on his age, right?
Well, he says he doesn't have any space for it. I mean, yeah.
He was just saying like he no longer have the capacity to wonder where he stands with people. And so
that's what I'm saying. He's tiring himself out. Try adopting. I'm just saying, as someone who had to conform to said mentality, there is something peaceful about actually not holding people to
having a low maintenance friendship.
Yes. Yes. And showing up high maintenance occasionally.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I was like allowing people to have the space, having their own space. Like you said, if you don't check on me, I don't have a problem with that. Just don't get mad when I don't check on you. That's all. That's what my biggest thing. Like, listen. I have no issue, and not that I'm not going. That's one thing. I will make that clear. That don't mean I won't check on you.
Yeah.
But if you've been in a season where I've had to, you know, and not because I don't really count, so I hate saying like a number, but if I've checked on you consistently over a while and I realize it's not reciprocated, that don't mean I'm gonna stop checking on you. But if I get to the point, I'm like, I don't have the capacity to check on you because I know it's one sided. Don't be upset. I've had that a lot of times. Friends, I'm like, because I'm a caller. I call the hell out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had conversations with my uncle. I called you, didn't even call me back, left you a voicemail and everything. I didn't get that voicemail. I don't care. So it's like, well, I'm gonna keep calling you, keep leaving voicemails. Like, man, listen. And granted, that might also come from unhealed places, being, you know what I'm saying, from a single parent household. But I don't care. I don't got listen. I don't have the emotional capacity to keep getting left on red.
Yeah.
G.
And that point, I do resonate with and empathize with. Just feeling tired of people not matching your vibe and frequency in a friendship. It is exhausting and draining and unfair. So I can resonate with that.
Can I ask you guys a question? Actually, I want to ask Eareoke a question.
Go for it.
Have you been a bad friend, Eareoke?
I feel like I have. Yeah.
How
would you define a bad friend? Like someone who's inconsistent, or?
I'm asking you. Would you define as a bad friend?
Have I ever been a bad friend? Sometimes I feel bad, like if I don't reach out or if I don't keep my word on something, because I feel like my like we were talking about actions versus, words and stuff, and I feel like I'm someone who try to stand on my word as much as I can, and so when I don't keep my word, I feel really bad. Because life happens and things may fall through, but I still feel bad about that. Bad friend. I define bad friends as people who like, I forgot, there's a communication term for this, but it's like when someone gets information out of you only to use it against you later on. Like they get you to open up and like reveal things about yourself and only to like
use it against
you.
I
like
forget what it's called, but
yeah, I feel like that's a bad friend. I feel like people who like don't stand up for you when you're not around. They kind of just let people say whatever they want about you or play you or whatever, and they're not standing 10 toes for you. Liars. Like liars are bad friends. Everyone has a white lie or a little fib or like exaggerate a little bit, telling a story, whatever. But when you just like blatantly just lying for no reason, or just lying to just be in the crowd or whatever, like just capping I was just like, do I want to be friends with someone like that?
Yeah.
Like, are you real at any core of yourself? Yeah, I think those are bad friends when they're lying, not keeping their word, not standing up for you when you're not around. Yeah.
Those are some good qualifiers. Yeah.
Or if like the one-sided thing, like they're never available to hold space for you, but you're always holding space for them. And he was like, okay, but when are you, like, is this just going to be this imbalance in our relationship the whole time?
It should never be never.
Yeah, like I can't count at any time where like you showed up for me when I needed you the most. Like that's not good,
So what if it's like they're always holding space for you, but they never allow you to hold space for them?
I've encountered a lot of friends like that, unfortunately. And even in romantic relationships where you're just like, I got this, it's fine, I'm good. Or it's just like, we don't gotta talk about this, like I can handle it on my own. It frustrates me. Because I'm just like, I'm all about community. So I'm just like, no, you need a community around you. You need a hug. You need someone to be like your soundboard, or just listen, Yeah, I get frustrated and I usually communicate that. Or I just push. I don't know how healthy that is, but I haven't got a bad response from like tapping till they let it out. But yeah, I don't usually give up in that area. I usually every now and again, bring it up again, or be like, no, this is gonna happen on your time, of course, but I want to be that friend for you. So yeah,
Persistence.
I learned that about myself recently. Well, within the last like 3 years, that I'm a persistent person, because I get upset with myself about being inconsistent, but I realize I don't give up, even though like I might fall out of consistency. Like it's still like my goals and ambitions I still steadily work towards, even when I fall down. I'm like, that's good. I like having that attribute of myself.
That's beautiful. So. I like the reframing.
Yeah. But yeah, have I ever been a bad friend? So some people maybe, but it was most likely because like maybe I didn't keep my word, or I don't know. I really haven't experienced, or like the girl I told you about on Instagram. She was like, "You used to love me."
Oh, that's pretty good though.
But it was just a distance thing. Like I moved out of my hometown, and we gradually stopped interacting regularly. And she became more of a friend, and we just keep up with each other on Instagram. But I didn't know she felt that way. It wasn't until like, that trend that was going around like I'm Allie, of course I blah blah blah. So I did one and like let people respond, and that's what she wrote. She's like, of course you used to love me, or something like that. And I was just like,
Hey, look at her face.
I was like, I didn't know we had beef.
Okay.
Thought we just grew distant, we went in different
She goes to the sucker punch in the comments.
Yeah, I was like, cool. So she might think I'm a bad friend,
Yeah.
So
hopefully that was lighthearted. No.
I asked her what she meant by it, and she put an LOL in her follow-up message, but LOLs really don't be.
LOL.
They don't be LOLing.
Don't be existing.
So I'm
keep
just
it light.
like,
No one's ever laughing out loud for real. Well,
sometimes,
if they are, if they are, that's LMAO then.
But yeah,
anyway.
So I don't know. I still don't know where I stand with her, but yeah, maybe she thought I was a bad friend with that response.
That's fire. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to ask. Thought that'd be.
You think I'm a bad friend?
No, I didn't say that. I was just wondering.
Okay.
Something that as I was thinking about the top asses, what came to mind, because I feel like when people will deem as a bad, like you said, distance with people. Sometimes people will feel like distance makes you a bad friend, or not constantly checking in and stuff like that. So I just wonder, like, based on your criteria, if you felt like you were a bad friend. So I just wondered, because I'm pretty sure that I'm a bad friend to somebody, but I don't feel like I've been a bad friend to people. Or recently. I've been a bad friend in the past for sure.
Most people, I feel like most people have been a bad friend.
Yeah.
Unintentionally or perhaps intentionally. I mean, or if they've had the privilege of having so many friends, because to the point of your friend, maybe they haven't had a bunch of friends in their life, that losing one is really emotional.
She still has her two best friends. They're always,
two?
Up. Yeah, she was a friend from high school, so I knew all of them. We're all friends in high school, but they were super close, so they were best friends.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you've had the same two friends forever,
hey, there's a vibe to that though.
But she's really
I'm
close.
not saying
she's really close with her
jealous.
family too, like her sister.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if people have like a particularly close network and community that they've built that foundation from, when you add somebody to it and they're not,
they might have more weight to it,
staying as part of the foundation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of I don't know. I'm like,
I will say it's a red flag if I'm your only friend.
I was someone's only friend, but we're no longer friends anymore. So I don't know if she has friends.
it is a lot of, I don't know. I don't think I've ever been someone's only friend.
I have.
It definitely is a lot of weight, trying to be their everything.
Yeah.
And it was distance because they were back in SoCal too.
Oh yeah.
So it's just
basically another relationship.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Minus the romance.
Yeah, it was definitely another relationship. Like, thankfully, I was able to be at her wedding because I just happened to be, you know, willing to drive 6 hours like overnight to be there. She, you know, had to go through two pregnancies by herself. Like, of course, she has her mom and her spouse, but she didn't have any girlfriends or things around her. So it was just like, when you're someone's only friend and there's distance, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Presence counts in those moments.
Yeah. So.
But too much responsibility for one person.
Yeah, and then she and I had a rocky relationship, like our whole friendship since we were kids. So it's just like we always go through seasons of like not talking for a particular reason. So I'm just like, so she used to always question me like, why can't I keep friends? Because she will make friends do like her different she would make friends do like her different third places, right? Because she had hobbies and stuff, but no one ever stayed around for long. So that might have
together.
That might have been an even more indicator for me to like try to stick it out, you know, longer than I should have probably. So
yeah,
and like our families knew each other, like her siblings went to school with my siblings, that type of thing. Our parents.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you were part of the family.
Yeah, we were basically family.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I think on her side of things, she, when it comes to that assessing part, I think assessment for her when she asked me to be her son's godmother and I didn't want to.
You said no?
See?
Ariel!
And I think that was a big part in our relationship, where she was just like, why?
I mean, respect for being honest, because that would be, especially if you're one of her few friends, and then like being a godmom. Yeah, that would put you that extra level of responsibility.
I just didn't feel comfortable,
because it'd have to be authentic to that desire. And when you already have so much responsibility to the friendship, then to be locked in to have equivalently the same kind of, I would assume. That's okay. So my ex-best friend who recently broke up with me asked me to be her daughter's godmom also. And I was devastated when she decided she didn't want to be friends with me anymore, because I was like, so now I just don't have access to my goddaughter? But I mean, I don't really
want to
think, well, I would love that, but I just don't think that that's the space she's in, or they're in. So it's like, I feel sad about it, but at the same time, on the other end of you saying no, I'm like, I didn't even think to say no, but that's because we were.
I didn't know that was an option.
I wouldn't have said no, even if it was an option. I adore her daughter.
No, but I was just talking about like.
But yeah. Well,
my biggest thing was like, I'm out here, and if I'm going to be a godparent to someone,
I want to be present.
Well, that's what I mean.
I want to be I want to be present, and I want to be intentional about how I interact with them and how often and things. And I just knew I wasn't in a space to do that.
I guess that's what I mean, because we were long distance friends, and I could technically drive an hour or so to go visit, but I didn't, and vice versa. I mean, she would come visit me a couple times, but I just said yes because I care again about her, our friendship and everything like that. So if I knew that it would be safe to say no, because I don't have the full capacity to show up maybe in the way that you expect, then and we could still be friends, then maybe I would have been more thoughtful like that. But I would have felt like if I say no, that's going to like,
I mean, she was hurt by it, of course, but like we still remain friends after that for
2 days.
No, it was like no, her son, it has to be like 5 now. So we remained friends for another 4 years after that.
Yeah.
So
That's what's up. At that point, do you just like ask somebody else to be somebody's godmother? Or do you like, you don't got godmom?
I think her husband's sister ended up like filling that.
I could see that happening.
And her brother.
Yeah. Yeah, finding somebody new that's more, I guess, compatible.
I don't know. I think the reason that I said being your only friend is a red flag, because my question is always, it's not the fact that I'm your only friend, it's the fact that why don't you have no other friends? I think that I'm more thinking about the other side of it. Like, if I'm your only friend and it's just, you just moved to a new city, that's different than like, you don't got no other friends.
Yeah.
Like,
and we
ain't made no other friends.
We were basically like born and raised there. She still lives in our same hometown. So I'm just like,
so I'm saying, see that to
me,
me,
just
that's
a lot going on with her. God bless her.
Not to mention, like, I've again, some of the friends that I've had I was their only friend. They weren't the nicest friends. So it's like, man.
Oh, you know how you brought up, like, sorry to cut off your man. You know how you brought up you know how you brought up like you've had a few friendships where you feel like you're competing. Mm-hmm. I feel like that with her. I wasn't competing.
Yeah.
But I feel like that energy from her, and I didn't like that either.
Yeah, that one-sided competitiveness.
Yeah. So I think that's being a bad friend too. Is just like,
why are you competing with me?
Yeah. Why we can't just get this together, or like be in our own lane and like
support each other.
Like, yeah. So
because even like competition also doesn't always come from like jealousy. That's the other thing. So it's just like an unhealthy level of comparison.
Yeah.
And so it creates that tension in the friendship that just doesn't need to be there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like these qualifiers in terms, because I don't know, being in a sorority, there's especially young, and now a lot of us are older. Yeah, we're more mature now, but very impressionable at the start when you come in. And so for me, things I would have engaged are stuff you talked about, like gossip. I think we all gossiped until it came down to really talking to the individual you had an actual issue with.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
God, that was funny.
For me, anyway, most of us, it would ultimately boil down to us having to have a direct conversation, because at the end of the day, it's a sisterhood. Like,
this man is
dying.
Weak.
But when you have family, like when as a family, what's family business is going to be family business. Everybody's invested ideally in there being a resolution, ideally. But yeah, I really avoid gossiping now, because I prefer tell the person directly. To be honest, it's just more effective and cathartic.
What?
I'm trying to figure out why you're laughing so hard.
This gossip always cracks me up.
Why?
You said why?
Yeah.
What you mean why?
The tea?
Well, it's nothing wrong. Well,
I feel like there's different gossiping when it comes to friendship, though.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I think gossip, I don't know, gossip cracks me up because I understand gossip only in one context, where you cannot tell that person that stuff. Like, somebody has a trash BF or GF. We all agree that the BF and GF is trash. We can't tell that person that they're trash. I'm not saying it's okay. I can understand that context. But when it's like you really got some problem with that person, man, you might as well tell that person. I don't know what we do.
I usually go to a trusted friend first and be like, how should I approach this?
Passing cereal.
And so if you consider that gossip, I guess I gossip. Like, if I use them as like a soundboard and like kind of try to evaluate my own feelings, and like sometimes I don't be knowing why I'm upset or like what my core emotion is behind things. So like I go to someone and be like, this is the situation. This is how I think I'm feeling about it. This is the resolution I want from it. Do you have any advice about how to go about this? Or like, have you, whatever. So that's still technically gossiping, I guess. But I don't know.
The definition of gossip is casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true.
Oh.
Not
I don't be
confirmed
gossiping.
It's like, the further along the story gets, the less accurate it is.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
assumptions.
It's like I've overheard people gossiping about this woman and like being divorced but not divorced, living with her husband still but not living with her husband still. It's like, how can you confirm that?
Yeah.
Or not confirm that? Like, that's gossip.
Well, I guess my thing with, and this is something I will say, because I think to add to your point and to combine it, I think there's no problem with, because I don't think it's ever okay to talk behind someone's back, but I do think, especially if you're talking about friends, I think it is important to use other people as soundboards before you address that person. I don't think it's cool to do it and not address the person, but if you're going to address the person, like I've done this a lot. We've done a lot of time in our family, like, man, last couple of times, blah, 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 been doing this. For real, kid in my house did the same thing. All right, when we see him, we all finna tell him. And then we'll see him and it's like, hey, bruh, we gotta talk to you. That's usually how it works. It's usually never like, and we don't address the person. Like I had a situation where like, with my friend CJ, of course, my boy CJ, and me and my other homie was like, yeah, he did something that was a little, you know what I'm saying, wasn't really feeling it. We should tell him when he come. So we told him. Didn't go well. But nonetheless, it wasn't like we was just talking about each other. It was like, no, we gotta like, and it was like coming from a place of love, like we just trying to tell you, bro. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want it to turn into an argument. We just trying to tell like, hey, bro, you did this and
I think
that wasn't a good look.
I think there's other things. There's plenty of different circumstances, right? But I think the two that come to mind also is like you were like, eventually should lead to you confronting that person. I think sometimes in that conversation of having that person as a soundboard, also they check you and be like,
Why don't you tell them this?
Not even why don't you tell them this? Is just like,
no, they're tripping.
Yeah, you the one tripping right now. You know. So I think I think sometimes the conversation doesn't lead to like you actually confront a person because you realize like, dang, I'm the one in the wrong, or I'm the one who, you know, has the issue, like it's something internally with me that I need to address, right?
Never me.
The other thing to that is like, there is this particular person that, you know, I might gossip about. This is a family member. Not so much anymore. I've set boundaries for myself in certain conversations where I'm like,
giving too much weight.
Yeah, like it's literally taking up so much energy and like, what's the reason, right? But it was to a point where it's just like this one particular person I would go to complain, right, about this other family member. And it was just like, well, we couldn't address this family member because when we did in the past, it's proved for them to like blow up and so it's just like, okay, I obviously can't confront you about real stuff. So, but I still need to express myself and get this off my chest. And so I'm just like,
I feel like at that point, why don't you stop messing with that person?
Sometimes family is just family, and sometimes you can't avoid family.
Yeah, that's true. No, it is, and sometimes it's not even family. Like I said, for work, I still have to cross paths with people who I thought were friends and be acquaintance like to them, and
everybody getting the axe.
We share. We share space.
Yeah.
We share space. We share community, and we have to figure out how to be in that space and community, in spite of the energy. In spite of the energy.
And it's not that I have such a huge issue with this person. It's just some things some things they choose to do or say or go about things. It's just like, I don't like that part of them, but I might love and like the rest of them. And so
people in doses.
Yeah. I'll just tolerate it, but then there's other ones just like, no, this is out of pocket and I need to talk about it.
Tolerating is not bad. I don't think tolerating is bad. Tolerant only is I can only tolerate in like significant others and in and in family. That's only I'm not tolerant of friend.
Oh, I feel like I have to tolerate more acquaintances than friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, friends I don't tolerate at all.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's
I'm quick to.
Nah, I don't think that's true. I do tolerate just differences between friends.
Yeah.
Kind of just like let people be who they are, where
That's
they're
acceptance,
at.
ain't it?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. It's deeper than tolerance.
Tolerance is like I can't accept this. Yeah. I just got to be around it. Yeah. Like I'm gonna let you be you, but this is not something I accept about you.
Yeah. No, I'm very much like that's who they are.
Yeah. Like I got a couple uncles that's like that where it's like I just tolerate you, but bro, I love you though.
Even the students who give me the hardest time, it's not even tolerance. It literally is accepting them exactly as they are.
Type beat.
You know, just like, okay, you're gonna be who you are, and that's fine. I'm not about to fight you or have all this extra tension. This extra energy.
Period.
But so yeah, to your point though, Eero, yeah, there is sometimes a need to talk to other people, to soundboard off of other people, to know how to best approach a person given the type of connection that you have.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, the gossiping where because we're family, you think it's such and such as business to know what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. Like, unless I've told them directly what's been going on in my life, I would expect you to not share that information, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
You would hate my family.
I would hope for that. I know that that's not.
Yeah. My family.
Anything you say, it always gets around.
Yeah. So I've just accepted like. For me, it's just like I went through a lot of like just being okay with me, my actions, my choices, my circumstances. And so if it gets out there, it's like, okay. And like,
I am who I am.
I am who I am.
Ooh.
You know, this is my journey. You know, this is me developing as a person. I make mistakes, whatever. But also, if there's an instance where I'm just like haven't came to that comfort of acceptance for myself and my situation, one of my sisters, she liked to call it, the sky is blue and the grass is green. You guys get what I'm saying?
Oh.
So it's basically like, you know, this particular person is a gossiper, right? So when you talk to them, all you talk about, the sky is blue, the grass is green. And you don't really leave a lot in the conversation for them to create narratives about you or come up with their own assumptions. But the funny part is those people still will come up with their own assumptions
and narratives.
Even though all you gave them was the sky is blue and the grass is green.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's
yes.
So just being intentional in that way too, just understanding who those people are to like engage with in that way.
I don't know. I love my family. We talking like I said. If I tell something to my cousin, my aunt, my mom, something, it's gonna get around. But granted, at the same time, like we're also a very and I use this word, but I don't mean it in the negative it's gonna come in negative connotation. But we're a very confrontation heavy family.
Oh, okay.
So that means if we have some information, we not scared to ask you about it. So if it's like, oh, I heard you and blah, blah, blah together, and that's supposed to go around, nobody's scared to be like, you and blah, blah, broke up. Ain't nobody like dancing around, or if something happened, like ain't nobody afraid to really ask that question.
Yeah. I feel like my family's the same way. They'll just ask you.
Yeah. So we don't really run into that issue of like, you found out you run into issues of, really you don't run into the issue we found my business because we just had the culture where it's like, if you don't want somebody to know, then don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. Honestly. And like, and then it would also, but my family is also very like, they've went through a lot of healing. So they'll also probe you like, well, why don't you want nobody to know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's where you really get the kicker. Cause like, what you mean? Like, cause you know, you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, huh? And then you get to that, you're like, oh, they caught me. I mean, if it usually a lot of the time it'd be based in truth, like you dealing with somebody you're not supposed to be dealing with in the first place, and it's like, why don't you want us to know that you're dealing with blah blah blah? It's like, y'all caught me. My bigger thing of my family is like they're very judgmental. Oh,
So it's just like, yeah, they'll confront you, but they also have all this judgment coming in. And so I'm just like, that was something I had to like work with it myself, because growing up in that environment made me a very judgmental person. It wasn't until I got with my ex when I realized how judgmental I was. And like being around him and his family helped me kind of like assess that within me and kind of practice like less judgmental things and thoughts and assumptions and things like that. But now going back home, I'm just like, this is how I used to be. Like, why did I put so much energy into judging people and like not holding space to understand or like things like that? So
Okays are making sense.
huh?
I saw all the okays are making sense.
Because I accept easily, or like I don't know. I don't get it. What you mean? What's wrong with me saying okay?
So he make you do this. Okay. Make this all adding up. Learn more every day. Stirring the pot.
I don't see that as me judging. It's
Nah,
me
I'm just joking.
comprehending what you're saying.
It's the filters. It's the different filters. I'm weak.
But yeah, that's one thing that came out of my marriage. That was good.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Would you say more tolerant or more accepting as a person, as opposed to judgmental?
I'm more accepting of folks. That was another thing. I've been doing a lot of internal stuff, but just understanding like people as they are, not trying to make them into someone else. And it's being able to accept that, or being real if you can accept that. So, yeah.
Love that. I love that for you. And us.
Tight beat. That's fire.
Y'all fire.
Oh no, I don't know. It's so funny.
We are fire.
Period. Poo. What they say on my soul.
Oh my! Did you guys see that trend going around
On my soul.
of them like of siblings talking to their? Oh my goodness!
Love it.
I'll see the one I found that was super funny.
Okay.
On my soul.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you when we're done.
Okay.
Good. Is that it?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to share.
Anything off your chest?
I think so.
Yeah.
On a lighter.
Gossip is bad.
Unless you confront it.
Unless you're willing to say as long as you're willing to say what it is you need to say, whatever you're saying with other people that you're getting feedback on, as long as you're willing and capable to say it to the direct individual, you don't need other parties involved, then by all means, speak what's on your chest, stand on business. But if you can't do that,
I like the housewife. I said what I said.
yes, that.
When they come get confronted, like, I'm gonna say it to your face too.
That is my energy right there too. So, yeah.
That's one of the things I gotta work on is confrontation.
Yeah, it's hard, but thankfully I don't have to face it that often.
I'm just not tact with it. I'm just too straightforward. I be getting too frustrated.
Gotta recognize different conflict resolution styles. There's 5 you can choose from.
What?
And
I guess the problem is I don't be trying to resolve none. I just be trying to know.
Yeah, well, we have our default conflict resolution styles. Like usually there's the top 2, which to me it sounds like you're an avoider, probably.
What's that?
Someone who just avoids the conflict.
I go.
You say you don't want to talk about it. That's what you just said.
Did I just say that?
I think he said he's too blunt about it.
So you won't talk. So you won't say anything.
No, that's
he'll
the problem.
He'll say it directly without any like.
Like I won't be tact about it. I just
no filter, no gentleness.
I go straight for it, and that's the problem because
The opposite side of that is like a more competitive conflict resolution style where you're real. Ultimately, you are just saying what you need to say. In the intention is not really to hear out the other side or even to resolve the conflict sometimes.
He said he doesn't want to resolve. He just want to
just say
it is what it is.
It's a fighter's perspective, or but
That makes sense because my grandma's like that. So I mean, that's where I get it from. My grandma's that way with me. Like if she has a question, there ain't no. Listen, are you broke? Like it'd be stuff like that. You'd be like, oh, Jesus. Like that's how I am. Where it's like, you don't got a car. You at grandma's house. You broke? Like that's like me. It's like I need to know. Like what's going on? Do you need help? Like that's how I usually go into. You need help? You need some money? What's going on? Oh, okay. I was making sure. I didn't know what was going on. I was confused. I was lost. I didn't want to ask nobody. Or if I ask people and they don't know, it's like, oh hell. Now here I'm about to really get frustrated.
That's the right people. But yeah, there's some other styles we could talk about that you could choose between. There's collaborating, compromising, accommodating. You know,
You gotta help me.
I have an issue with accommodating.
Healing.
that aligns with what we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay though. Honestly, when you are an accommodator, you lose out what like you need. Like you're really just satisfying everybody else.
I retook my attachment style quiz
Did
last
you?
week. Horrible, but it's okay. We'll talk about it off air.
Okay.
Well, guys, thank you for another episode of Special Friends Podcast. It's your boy Wuzi, and I'm here with
Professor B.
Eareoke.
And thank you guys for listening to another episode. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, review, and rate the podcast.
And share.
Share it. That's actually what I want you guys to do more than anything. Share this with a friend.
Yeah. And timestamp in the comments so we know what was maybe some of your favorite moments, so we know where to create some shorts from too. Or we have some inspo. We already know where, but
period.
sometimes it's always great to have more inspiration.
100%.
Yeah. And if y'all can relate to our conversation today around friendship tiers, spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
Spectrum.
If you're a good friend, bad friend, does distance matter to you in friendship?
A lot of questions, a lot of things unpacked.
Yeah.
Do you gossip?
Are you the gossip friend? Are you the friend that we can't tell anything to? The leaky faucet.
Do you let gossip happen about your closest friends around you and you don't stand up for them?
I was that friend once.
Because that's what Ariel was talking about, and I think that was such a great point. So anyway, yeah, let us know your thoughts.
I used to be that friend. I ain't gonna lie. But I would go back and snitch.
Oh,
Blah, blah, ain't fucking with you. They was talking bad shit. But I didn't did you say something? Nah, I didn't say nah, I didn't know what to say. I'd be so dumbfounded.
anonymous tip.
But again, thank you guys. And we out of here.
You're my special friend.